On the west coast of Africa, in the small country of Togo, a ministry is growing. It's called Believe and See. The founder, Louis Swan, calls Tyler home.
In the beginning, we were just supposed to be a ministry.
By his own admission, running a ministry is not exactly what he expected to be doing just a few years ago.
5 years ago, I wouldn't even call myself a Christian. The only time I talked about Christ was when I was debating someone while I was drunk at the bar. And so I was that type of Christian that drunk saying, by God, I know God's real, but I lived everything the opposite.
Even so, Swan took a job with the Christian-based ministry Mercy Ships. It was during that time Swan says he began to confront the reality that he had no faith.
All the while, I proclaimed God, and I said, this is what I'm doing for God. But when I got real with God, and I think God likes us to get real with Him. If we don't believe Him, tell Him we don't believe Him. And that's where I think He can work. He says, okay, that I can work with. That I am able to, you've gotten real with me, so we'll get real with each other. And it was really, that was the turning point, was to admit to myself and to God that I don't believe in Him, that I have no faith.
Getting real with God led Louis on a 16-day trek across West Africa, stopping at villages along the way and showing the Jesus film. Over time, he would begin to find a new faith, one that he believed required him to give all that he had at that moment, primarily his van. Ironically, you might say, he met a pastor named Peter, who was working in the villages of West Africa, helping provide cataract surgery to the hopelessly poor.
I went to Peter and said, Peter, I want to give you this vehicle. I want to support you. So this is a mission that I'm doing indefinitely, forever. And there's no end date. And you've done this without support. How much could you do with support? And his response was, but what if God wants me to do this as a poor man? And so I realized I came up with a vision, but He has a calling.
That was almost 2 years ago, the start of the Believe and See ministry. Together, Swan and Pastor Pete have built a ministry that now has full approval of Togo's government. They have 7 full-time staff members. They create operating rooms inside clinics at cities, then go out to remote villages and bring the poor in for cataract surgery. They also provide agricultural training at their 20-acre compound for members of those villages to teach them better and more productive ways to grow crops. Those things, they hope, will ultimately allow them to share the gospel to people who before would never listen.
Whenever we express our faith to such a level that people would leave their country to come to their village and give them sight for free because we know they don't have the means, and then to show them this gospel, but it deems a new definition of Christ. When you surpass all what's natural in our world as far as serving our brother, it provides the ears to listen to a new definition of Christ.
And now Believe and See will go even a step further. ETMC has just donated an ambulance, now refurbished to be a mobile cataract clinic, allowing the ministry to go deep into Togo to serve people they may have never reached before. Another instance of allowing God to provide.
3, 2, and
95% of the ideas did not come from me. We received an ambulance the other day as a donation that will be our mobile clinic. Our team asked me to start praying about a mobile clinic. I told them we absolutely can't afford one, and we submitted it to prayer, and within days ETMC approached us with that need to be met.
There are even more plans to grow the ministry, especially at their compound. There are future plans to have a medical clinic and furnish housing for long and short-term mission projects. Continuing to build on a ministry who found its start walking by faith.
Believe and See is totally a ministry of faith. It's never really made a big explosive growth with us feeling strong. And it's at our most broken moments that Believe and See has had its biggest turning points.
it's gray now.
Clint Yates, CBS 19 News.